Obi-Wan Kenobi remembered the sound of his own lightsaber striking the floor of the Death Star. He remembered the red blade passing through him, the heat of it without pain, the terrible stillness of Darth Vader standing where Anakin Skywalker should have been. He remembered Luke crying out, remembered the bright rush of blaster fire, remembered the impossible peace that had opened around him when his body vanished, and the Force accepted him like a tide accepts rain. Then the peace shattered. He opened his eyes in a place with no sky, no ground, no stars. It was not darkness, not truly. It was too alive for that. Silver mist moved around him in slow ribbons, and every ribbon carried a memory. Younglings laughing in the temple gardens. Padmé Amidala turning away from a burning world with tears on her face. Anakin kneeling before a hooded shadow. The Jedi temple lit by flame. Luke reaching toward a future he did not understand. Leia standing proud even when the galaxy tried to break her. Obi-Wan closed his eyes again, but the visions remained. "Master," he whispered, because he knew the presence before he saw him. Qui-Gon Jinn stood in the mist, calm as an ancient tree, his hair stirring though there was no wind. He looked neither young nor old, neither alive nor dead. His eyes held sorrow, but not defeat. "You have done well, Obi-Wan." Obi-Wan almost laughed. The sound came out broken. "Have I? The Jedi are gone. The Republic became an empire. Anakin became the very thing we swore to fight. Padmé died. The children grew up hunted. I spent the last of my life hiding in a desert, waiting for a boy to carry the burden I failed to carry." "You did not fail alone," Qui-Gon said. "That is not comfort." "No, it is truth." The mist shifted. Obi-Wan saw Mustafar, lava light burning across Anakin's face. He saw yellow eyes. He saw his own hand raise a blade. He saw the moment he had walked away, leaving his brother to burn, because he could not bear to finish what duty demanded. Obi-Wan's voice lowered. "Why am I here?" "Because the Force has chosen mercy before judgment." "That sounds unlike the Force." Qui-Gon smiled faintly. "The Force is not punishment, Obi-Wan. It is balance. Sometimes balance is a blade. Sometimes it is a hand offered before the fall." Obi-Wan stared at him. The mist gathered around his boots, cool as morning dew. "You are telling me there is still a chance?" "I am telling you the current that carried Anakin into darkness was not born in a single moment. It was fed by fear, by secrecy, by pride, by the blindness of good men who believed warning signs were storms to be endured, not fires to be smothered." Obi-Wan flinched. Qui-Gon stepped closer. "You loved him like a brother, but you trained him like a promise you were afraid to break. The Council feared his power. The Senate coveted it. The Sith poisoned it. And Anakin, caught between all of you, learned to hide the parts of himself most in need of light. I cannot undo all of that." "No," Qui-Gon said, "but you can begin before the final chain is forged." The mist opened. Obi-Wan saw Anakin young again, not the boy from Tatooine, not yet the armored terror of the Empire, but the impatient Padawan with a braid behind his ear and too much fire behind his eyes. He saw Padmé alive. He saw the Jedi Temple whole on Coruscant, its towers silver beneath dawn. He saw Palpatine smiling from the shadows of the Senate, every expression measured, every silence a trap. Obi-Wan's breath caught. "When?" "Before the war reveals itself." "The assassination attempt?" Qui-Gon inclined his head. Obi-Wan looked down at his hands. They were whole, unscarred by age. "Can I tell them?" "You cannot pour the future into the past and expect it not to drown. Say too much, and fear will answer fear. The Sith thrive on panic. You must guide events, not command them. And if I fail, then you will know you did not fail by silence." The words struck deeper than accusation. Obi-Wan turned away. In the mist, he saw Anakin on the council chamber floor, not as Vader, not as a Sith, but as a boy, newly freed from slavery, looking at a room full of strangers who spoke of danger while he was still grieving. He saw himself standing beside that boy, promising Qui-Gon he would train him. never understanding that a promise made to the dead could become a wall between the living. Obi-Wan swallowed. What must I do? Qui-Gon's expression softened. Love him honestly. Teach him without fear. Do not confuse distance with discipline. Do not confuse obedience with healing. And when the darkness offers him a secret, make sure he already has someone he trusts with the truth. The mist brightened until Obi-Wan could barely see. Qui-Gon placed a hand on his shoulder. For the first time since the Death Star, Obi-Wan felt warmth. May the Force be with you, my Padawan. Obi-Wan tried to answer, but the world became white. He woke to the hum of hyperspace. For a moment, he did not move. He sat in a co-pilot's chair, hands resting on gray fabric, the taste of recycled air in his mouth. Blue light streaked beyond the viewport. A console blinked softly at his side. Somewhere behind him, an engine coughed with a familiar, uneven rhythm. Master? Obi-Wan turned. Anakin Skywalker sat in the pilot's seat, young, alive, and frowning at him with open concern. His Padawan braid lay against his shoulder. His face was unscarred. His eyes were blue, not yellow, not hidden behind black lenses. Blue, restless, human. Obi-Wan's chest tightened so violently he nearly forgot how to breathe. Anakin leaned closer. Are you all right? You look like you just saw a ghost. Obi-Wan almost said yes. Instead, he looked through the viewport at the flowing stars and gathered himself with every scrap of discipline left to him. I suppose I was more tired than I realized. Anakin smirked, but the concern did not leave him. That happens when you let diplomats talk in circles, until everyone starts aging out of sheer boredom. Careful, Anakin. Diplomacy is a noble art. It is a noble trap disguised as an art. Despite everything, Obi-Wan laughed. The sound surprised them both. Anakin stared. You really must be tired. Obi-Wan let the smile linger. He had forgotten how young Anakin's sarcasm had been before war sharpened it. He had forgotten the easy rhythm between them, the unguarded bond, the way Anakin's presence in the Force blazed like sunlight through storm clouds. There was impatience in it. Hunger. Fear buried under bravado. But there was also joy, loyalty, and a fierce tenderness that the old Obi-Wan had seen too often as danger instead of strength. Where are we? Obi-Wan asked carefully. Almost home. We left the border dispute behind us, thank the Force. The Temple sent word while you were asleep. The Council wants us immediately after landing. Of course they did. Obi-Wan looked again at the hyperspace tunnel. He knew what waited on Coruscant. Padmé's damaged starship. The Senate. A poisonous assassin. A chase through traffic. Camino. Geonosis. Sand. Blood. A mother dying in Anakin's arms. A secret marriage born of love and fear. A war designed to turn Jedi into soldiers, and soldiers into weapons. Palpatine smiling as all of it unfolded. Not this time. The thought came with such force that Anakin glanced at him. Master? Obi-Wan softened his presence at once. I am here, Padawan. Anakin looked as if he wanted to say more, then shrugged and turned back to the controls. You have been strange since you woke up. I have been strange for years. You are only now noticing. That is different. Usually your strange comes with lectures. Would a lecture comfort you? No. Then I shall save it for a more vulnerable moment. Anakin groaned, but Obi-Wan felt the small, bright pulse of amusement through their bond. Their ship dropped from hyperspace above Coruscant. The city world filled the viewport, endless towers shining through golden atmosphere. Obi-Wan had seen it as a prison of durasteel under Imperial rule, cold and watched, its beauty stripped into obedience. Now it gleamed with arrogant life. Traffic streams crossed the sky like rivers of light. The Jedi Temple rose from the city's heart, whole and luminous, its spires piercing the clouds. Obi-Wan's hands curled against his knees. Anakin guided the ship toward the temple hangars. You were doing it again. Doing what? Looking like you were seeing something disappear. Obi-Wan turned to him. The lie came easily to his tongue, as lies often had during the war. But he stopped it there. I had a difficult dream. Anakin's brows drew together. A vision? Perhaps. The word changed the air between them. Anakin looked away too quickly. Obi-Wan noticed. This time, he would not let it pass. Have you had any troubling dreams lately? He asked. Anakin's shoulders stiffened. No. The answer was too fast. Obi-Wan let silence settle, not as pressure, but as invitation. The ship descended into the hangar. Temple workers moved below, waving signal rods. Anakin kept his eyes on the landing beacons, as though they had become the most fascinating things in the galaxy. Anakin, Obi-Wan said gently, a Jedi is not weakened by admitting fear. Fear hidden in darkness grows teeth. Anakin's jaw shifted. That sounds like a lecture. It is a warning from someone who has learned too late that silence can be cruel. The ship settled. The engines sighed down. Anakin did not answer, but he did not flee the conversation either. Obi-Wan counted that as the first fragile victory. The council chamber was exactly as Obi-Wan remembered it, and nothing like he remembered it. Sunlight poured across the polished floor. Masters sat in their seats, alive, grave, unaware of the graves waiting for them. Yoda's ears twitched as Obi-Wan entered. Mace Windu watched with his steady, searching gaze. Ki-Adi-Mundi, Plo Koon, Shaak Ti, and the others listened as Obi-Wan delivered the report from their mission. He said what needed saying, not too much, not too little. He gave the shape of the dispute, the Senate's interest, the border clan's grievances, and the fragile settlement. Anakin added his portion without boasting, though he fidgeted with the edge of his sleeve whenever the discussion dragged. When the report ended, Mace folded his hands. Another matter requires your attention. Senator Amidala survived an attempt on her life upon arrival. Anakin's presence flared. Obi-Wan felt it like heat against his skin. This time, instead of pretending not to notice, he placed a light touch through the bond. Not restraint, reassurance. Anakin glanced at him, startled. Yoda's eyes narrowed slightly, as if he had sensed the exchange. Assigned to protect her, you are, Yoda said. Clouded, this matter is. Political danger surrounds the vote before the Senate. Mace continued. Your mandate is protection, not investigation. Obi-Wan bowed. With respect, masters, protection without understanding the threat is only waiting for the next blade. Mace's gaze sharpened. You believe investigation is necessary. I believe the assassin will not stop because we stand politely beside the senator's door. A faint huff came from somewhere near Plo Koon. It might have been amusement. Yoda tapped his cane once. More direct than usual, you are, Obi-Wan. I have had reason to reconsider the cost of hesitation. The chamber quieted. Mace studied him a moment longer. Very well. Protect the senator. If a trail presents itself, follow it with discretion. Anakin could barely hide his satisfaction. Obi-Wan bowed again. There is another matter. The council waited. Obi-Wan chose his words carefully. My Padawan has carried the strain of many missions without pause. After the senator's immediate safety is secured, I request permission to take him briefly off-world for meditation and personal grounding. Anakin stared at him. Mace frowned. This is an unusual time for leave. It is not leave, Obi-Wan said. It is prevention. Anakin's connection to the Force is powerful, and power under constant pressure can become unstable if not tended. The words were true enough to hurt. Several masters exchanged looks. Obi-Wan could feel suspicion, concern, and old unease gathering. In the past, he would have retreated. He would have accepted the council's discomfort as wisdom. But he remembered children dead in hallways. He remembered Anakin's scream beside a lava river. Yoda leaned forward. To Tatooine, go you wish? The question struck the room like a hidden gong. Anakin's face went pale. Master Yoda? Obi-Wan did not look away from the Grand Master. If the Force leads us there, yes. Danger and attachment there is. Yes, Obi-Wan said. There is also danger in pretending love becomes harmless because we forbid it a name. Mace's expression hardened. That is a dangerous line of thought. It is a dangerous galaxy. The chamber went utterly still. Obi-Wan lowered his head, not in surrender, but respect. I do not ask the Order to abandon its teachings. I ask that we remember why those teachings exist. We warn against possession, not compassion. Against fear, not love. If Anakin is troubled by something connected to his past, then forcing silence upon him will not free him from it. Anakin's shock through the bond was almost painful. Yoda watched Obi-Wan for a long time, then his eyes lowered. Clouded this future is, but changed you are. He tapped his cane again. Protect Senator Amidala first. Then follow the living force, if follow it you must. Mace did not look pleased, but he did not overrule him. Outside the chamber, Anakin waited until the doors closed before speaking. What was that? Obi-Wan turned. A conversation. With the Council? Yes. You argued with them. I clarified. You argued with them for me. Obi-Wan gave him a mild look. Try not to sound so horrified. It wounds my pride. Anakin's face shifted, emotions crossing too quickly to name. Suspicion. Hope. Confusion. Fear of hope. Why? Because I saw what my distance helped create. Because I loved you and made you believe love was something to hide. Because I called you brother only when it was too late. Obi-Wan said, because you are my Padawan. Your well-being is my responsibility. Anakin looked down. His voice became quieter. You have never said it like that before. I should have. For once, Anakin had no quick reply. Padmé Amidala's apartment was guarded, polished, and tense. Captain Typho had arranged Naboo security in layers, but fear had still found its way into every room. Padmé stood near the windows when the Jedi entered, her posture straight, her expression composed. Obi-Wan saw at once the young queen she had been and the weary senator she had become. He also saw the woman who would die, pleading for a man everyone else believed lost. She smiled when she saw them. Master Kenobi. Senator. Her gaze moved to Anakin. Her smile warmed, then faltered under the force of his stare. Anakin tried to speak and nearly tripped over his own dignity. It is good to see you again, he managed. And you, Anakin. You have grown. Obi-Wan resisted the urge to close his eyes. Some things, it seemed, even time could not improve. Padmé invited them to sit. The discussion began as it had before, but Obi-Wan changed its course before Anakin could openly defy him in front of her. Our first duty is your safety, Obi-Wan said. Our second is understanding who benefits from your death. You are opposing the creation of a larger army for the Republic. That gives motive to many factions, but the precision of the attack suggests more than political outrage. Padmé studied him. You think this is organized? I think it is designed. That landed. Padmé's eyes narrowed with the sharp intelligence Obi-Wan remembered so well. Designed to frighten me away from the vote? Or designed to place certain people in motion? Anakin looked at him. Padmé noticed. You already suspect something. I suspect the galaxy is more carefully arranged than it appears. It was not an answer, but Padmé had lived too long in politics to mistake caution for ignorance. She nodded slowly. That night, Obi-Wan did not leave Anakin alone in the apartment while he checked outside security. He remained close enough to sense the shift in the air before the assassin's tiny droids reached Padmé's window. The creatures were small, venomous, and nearly silent. Obi-Wan cut them down before they reached the bed. Anakin sprang toward the window and caught the departing probe with the Force, crushing it against the frame before it could flee. Outside, a speeder shot away into the traffic lanes. Go, Obi-Wan said. Anakin was already moving. The chase tore through Coruscant's night. Obi-Wan joined him in a stolen airspeeder, not with the frantic irritation he remembered from the first time, but with focus sharpened by memory. The assassin drove hard toward the entertainment district. Anakin leapt too soon, of course, landing on the fleeing craft with wild courage and no plan beyond faith in his own reflexes. Obi-Wan followed, muttering, "Still dramatic?" They cornered the assassin in a lower-level passage where steam rose from vents and neon light bled across wet metal. The assassin wore a masked helmet and carried a compact blaster. Anakin ignited his lightsaber, fury already brightening his aura. "Who hired you?" he demanded. The assassin said nothing. Obi-Wan felt the ripple a heartbeat before the dart flew. This time, he was ready. His blade snapped up, burning the dart from the air before it struck the assassin's throat. At the far end of the passage, a helmeted figure stiffened in surprise. Obi-Wan turned. "Anakin, alive!" Anakin lunged, not at the assassin, but toward the fleeing killer. Obi-Wan seized the assassin with the Force and pinned them against the wall while racing after his Padawan. The armored figure vanished into a waiting craft, but not before Obi-Wan saw enough. Mandalorian armor, controlled movement. A hunter trained beyond the common breed. He did not need the dart now. He had the assassin alive, and that changed everything. Under questioning by the temple's truth sensitives, the assassin revealed little. Their memory had been tampered with. A face hidden by armor. Payment through dead accounts. A rendezvous not on Camino, but near a spice moon in Hutt space. That was new. The Sith had adjusted, or perhaps Obi-Wan's own changes had shifted the path. The council debated sending a full team. Obi-Wan argued against it. "A visible Jedi response may scatter the trail," he said. "Let Anakin and me follow quietly. Senator Amidala should be moved somewhere secure and unpredictable." Padmé, who had insisted on attending the discussion by holo-transmission, lifted her chin. "I will not hide while others decide the fate of the Republic." "No," Obi-Wan said, "but you can choose the battlefield. Naboo is familiar, heavily defended, and politically inconvenient for those who prefer you isolated." Palpatine, present in the chamber as Supreme Chancellor, smiled with grandfatherly concern. "A wise suggestion, Master Kenobi. Senator Amidala's safety must be our highest priority." Obi-Wan felt cold. That voice, that warmth, that careful humility like velvet over a blade. He had heard it praise Anakin, console Anakin, own Anakin. Anakin stood beside him, unaware of the old monster smiling inches from his future. Palpatine turned to the young Jedi. "You must be relieved, my boy. Senator Amidala will be well protected." Anakin straightened under the attention. "Yes, Chancellor." "My boy." The words slid into the bond like poison seeking an old wound. Obi-Wan stepped in before they could settle. "Anakin's focus is his duty, Chancellor, as is mine." Palpatine's eyes flicked to him. For the smallest instant, something ancient looked through the kindly mask. Then the smile returned. "Of course." Obi-Wan slept little that night. At dawn, he found Anakin in a meditation room, though no meditation was happening. The young man sat with his legs folded, fists clenched, eyes open and burning at nothing. Obi-Wan entered quietly. "Your thoughts are loud enough to disturb the archives." Anakin did not smile. "I dreamed of my mother." There it was, the hinge upon which a galaxy had turned. Obi-Wan sat across from him. "Tell me." Anakin shook his head. "The Council would say it is attachment." "I am not asking as the Council." That broke something in Anakin's face. He looked younger than he had in years. "She was in pain, calling for me. I could not reach her. I keep seeing sand and blood, and I wake up feeling like I abandoned her." Obi-Wan let the confession breathe between them. The old Obi-Wan might have warned him about dreams, reminded him of discipline, urged patience. This Obi-Wan felt Qui-Gon's hand on his shoulder. "Then we will go to her." Anakin stared. "What?" "After Senator Amidala is secure on Naboo, we will go to Tatooine." "But the mission can include following a lead through Hutt space." "You are serious?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because your fear will not vanish because I command it to. Because your mother is a living being, not a temptation. Because if the Force is warning you, then we should listen." Anakin looked away, blinking hard. "I thought you would tell me to let go." "One day, you must learn to let go of what you cannot control. But compassion does not require neglect. We are not better Jedi by becoming less human." Anakin's voice turned rough. "You never talk like this." "I am trying to learn." That answer, more than any perfect wisdom, reached him. They escorted Padmé to Naboo under the guise of a security retreat. She argued, naturally. Anakin argued with her, naturally. Obi-Wan endured them both with the patience of a man who had watched their children save the galaxy, and was therefore less impressed by their attempts to pretend they were not drawn to each other. Naboo welcomed Padmé with rain-washed gardens and quiet loyalty. Her lakeside refuge was searched by guards, droids, and Jedi senses before Obi-Wan allowed anyone to relax. The air smelled of flowers and water. It was beautiful enough to feel unreal. That evening, Obi-Wan found Padmé on a balcony overlooking the lake. "You are worried about him," she said without turning. "I am worried about many things. Anakin most of all." Obi-Wan joined her at the railing. "He feels deeply. That is not a flaw. No, but he believes it is, because he has been told too often that feeling deeply is the same as being ruled by feeling." Padmé looked at him. "And what do you believe?" Obi-Wan watched the lake darken under the evening sky. "I believe love can become greed when fear takes hold of it. I also believe denying love can make fear stronger." She was silent for a long moment. "That sounds like a dangerous opinion for a Jedi." "Most useful truths are dangerous to someone." Padmé gave a small smile. "What are you asking me, Master Kenobi?" "To be honest with him, and with yourself. Not reckless, not secretive. Honest. If there is affection between you, hiding it in shame will not make it harmless. It will make it vulnerable to anyone who offers permission without wisdom." Padmé's expression shifted. She understood politics too well not to hear the warning beneath the words. "Someone like the Chancellor?" Obi-Wan did not answer directly. Power often comes wearing kindness. Padmé turned back toward the water. "I have trusted him for a long time." So did many. The next morning, they left Naboo in a modest transport with no name painted on its hull. Obi-Wan refused a royal escort. Padmé insisted on coming as far as Tatooine once she learned why they were going, and Anakin's gratitude toward her glowed so fiercely that Obi-Wan had to pretend great interest in the navicomputer. Tatooine had not changed. It waited beneath its suns, cruel and bright, swallowing hope in heat and dust. The moment they landed near the Lars moisture farm, Anakin nearly ran down the ramp. Obi-Wan did not stop him. Klieg Lars received them with suspicion that turned to sorrow the instant Anakin gave his name. Shmi had been taken. Tusken Raiders. Weeks of searching. Too many wounds. Too little hope. The old future rose like smoke. Anakin's rage ignited so violently that Padmé stepped back. The air trembled around him. Tools rattled against the walls. A cup cracked in Beru's hand. Obi-Wan moved before fear became action. He placed both hands on Anakin's shoulders and forced the young man to meet his eyes. "Breathe." "They took her." "I know." "I saw this. I saw it, and you still—" "We are here now." Anakin shook under his hands. "If she dies, then you will grieve. You will not become the thing that caused your grief." Anakin's eyes flashed. "You do not know what I could become." Obi-Wan held the gaze, though every scar in his soul opened. "Yes," he said softly. "I do." Anakin froze. The words had crossed too close to forbidden truth. Obi-Wan felt Qui-Gon's warning in the back of his mind, but he did not retreat from the love behind them. "I know what rage can make of good people," Obi-Wan continued. "I know what pain can demand. It will tell you that mercy is weakness. It will tell you that every life near your anger deserves to pay. It lies." For a moment, Anakin looked ready to break. Then Padmé stepped beside him, not touching, not pleading, simply present. "We will find her," she said. The search began before dusk. Klieg's wounded leg kept him behind, but Owen gave them the direction of the raider camp. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padmé crossed the desert on borrowed speeders, following tracks half buried by wind. The Force pulsed uneasily beneath the dunes. Pain had been here. Fear still lingered. They found the camp beneath a ridge of black stone. Obi-Wan halted Anakin before he could charge. "Listen to me. We are here for your mother, not revenge. If you feel the darkness rise, you come back to my voice." Anakin's jaw clenched. "And if they stand in my way, defend. Do not slaughter." The words struck like a slap, because some part of Anakin had already imagined it. Shame flickered through him. Obi-Wan softened. The thought is not the fall. Choosing it is. They entered under cover of night. Obi-Wan moved like a shadow, disabling guards with precise blows. Anakin followed, breathing hard, fighting himself as much as any enemy. Padmé stayed close with a compact blaster, steady despite her fear. They found Shmi in a tent near the center of camp. She was alive, barely, but alive. Anakin fell to his knees beside her. "Mom." Her eyes opened. Confusion became wonder. "Annie?" He gathered her as if she might vanish. Obi-Wan stood guard at the entrance, his throat tight. In another life, she had died after a handful of words. In this one, her hand rose to touch her son's face, and she breathed through pain toward life. The camp stirred. A warning cry broke the night. "Go," Obi-Wan said. Anakin lifted Shmi. Raiders emerged with weapons raised. A younger Anakin, alone and shattered, would have become a storm. This Anakin trembled on the edge of one. A warrior rushed him. Anakin's blade flashed, cutting the weapon, not the body. He shoved the attacker aside with the Force and kept moving. Another blocked Padmé's path. She fired at the ground, forcing the warrior back. Obi-Wan deflected a slug-thrower shot with a twist of metal pulled from a tent frame. They ran through chaos, not cleanly, not nobly, but with purpose. Behind them, the camp roared awake. Before them, the desert opened. They escaped under the moons. Only when the speeders neared the farm did Anakin begin to sob. He tried to hide it. Of course he did. He turned his face away while Shmi lay against him, breathing shallowly, but alive. Obi-Wan pretended not to notice, until Anakin's control cracked so hard the speeder wobbled. Then Obi-Wan reached across and steadied the handlebar. "No shame, Anakin." "I hate them," Anakin whispered. "I know. I wanted to kill them all. I know. I still do." Obi-Wan looked across the moonlit sand. "Then stay with that truth. Do not bury it. Do not dress it as justice. Say it plainly, and it will have less power over you." Anakin's voice broke. "I wanted revenge." "Yes. What kind of Jedi wants that?" "One who is in pain." The answer left Anakin silent. Shmi survived. Not easily, not without fever, fear, and long nights where Anakin refused to leave her side. But she survived. The farm became a strange refuge. Padmé helped Beru prepare medicine. Owen pretended annoyance while quietly repairing the transport's cooling system. Klieg thanked Anakin with few words and a grip strong enough to say the rest. Obi-Wan watched Anakin sit beside his mother beneath the shade of a evaporator, and he felt the future shift. Not vanish, shift. The Sith were still moving. The war still waited. Palpatine still smiled in the Senate. But one chain had broken. On the final evening before they had to leave, Shmi asked to speak with Obi-Wan alone. She sat wrapped in a blanket, fragile but present, her eyes clearer than her body. "You trained him," she said. "I tried." She smiled faintly. "That sounds like a man who thinks trying was not enough." Obi-Wan lowered his gaze. "It often was not." Anakin was born with too much heart for his own skin. Even as a child, he wanted to fix every broken thing. Machines, people, strangers, me. She looked toward the doorway, where her son's shadow moved beyond the curtain. "Do not teach him to have a smaller heart, Master Jedi. Teach him what to do when it breaks." Obi-Wan bowed his head. "I will." When they returned to the transport, Anakin was different. Not healed. Healing was not a door one walked through, but a road. Still, the rage in him no longer had the same hidden chamber. He had touched its edge and returned. The trail from the assassin led them next to a dead drop near a hut-controlled moon. There they found not the armored hunter himself, but evidence he had been hired through a chain of false names that ended in a separatist account. Too neat, too deliberate. Obi-Wan saw the snare at once. The Sith wanted the Jedi to discover an army, discover a war, discover every piece in the order arranged for them. So he changed the order. Instead of going to the Council alone, he went first to Padmé and Bail Organa, then to Yoda. Then, through a channel so old it had nearly been forgotten, he sent a message to Count Dooku. He expected no answer. The answer came in person. Dooku arrived at a forgotten monastery on a storm-lashed moon, elegant as ever, his cloak untouched by the rain. Obi-Wan met him beneath cracked stone arches while Anakin waited nearby, furious at being told to remain hidden, and therefore only mostly hidden. "Kenobi," Dooku said, "this is either brave or foolish. I have been accused of both. Qui-Gon always did favor lost causes." Obi-Wan felt the name like a key turning. He believed you could still hear truth if it was spoken plainly. Dooku's expression cooled. "Careful. No, I have been careful. Careful men built this disaster with polite silence." Obi-Wan stepped closer. "You know the Republic is rotting. You know the Senate is compromised. You know the Jedi have become entangled in politics. But the answer is not to kneel to a Sith Lord who will burn every reform you claim to desire." Lightning flashed beyond the arches. Dooku's hand moved slightly toward his saber. "You speak dangerous accusations. I speak to the student of Yoda, the master of Qui-Gon, and the man who once believed justice mattered more than victory." For the first time, Dooku's mask cracked. Obi-Wan pressed on. "The Sith Lord you serve does not intend to free the galaxy from corruption. He intends to become its corruption, crowned and eternal. The army being grown for the Republic, the droid armies massing in secret, the assassination attempts, the fear in the Senate, the emergency powers soon to be demanded. All of it is theater. And you, Count, are not the playwright. You are a character scheduled to die when your scene is finished." Dooku's face went pale with anger. "Who told you this?" "The dead." A silence followed. Dooku looked into Obi-Wan's eyes, and perhaps he saw something there no living man should carry. Not certainty, not madness, grief seasoned into knowledge. "You expect me to betray my master because you offer riddles?" "No, I expect you to betray him because you already know what he is." The rain intensified. Anakin stepped from the shadows despite orders, unable to bear any more. "If you know who the Sith is, tell us!" Dooku's gaze moved to him. "Skywalker, the bright blade, the desired prize." Anakin stiffened. "What does that mean?" "It means everyone who sees power wishes to name themselves its owner." Obi-Wan saw Anakin absorb that, saw discomfort flicker into understanding. Dooku turned back. "If I speak, he will know." "Yes," Obi-Wan said. "So speak in a way that makes silence more dangerous for him than truth." Dooku almost smiled. Qui-Gon would have liked that. "No," Obi-Wan said. "He would have hated that it became necessary." In the end, Dooku gave them enough. Not a confession, not a clean revelation. A set of accounts. A hidden transmitter code. A private Senate access pattern. A trail of encrypted meetings tied to the Chancellor's own office, concealed beneath layers no ordinary investigator could pierce. It was not proof for the whole galaxy. Not yet. But it was proof for those willing to look. Yoda listened to the evidence in silence. Mace Windu looked as if the foundation beneath the temple had split. Bail Organa whispered, "The Chancellor?" Padmé did not whisper. "We need more. If we accuse him too soon, he will turn the Senate against the Jedi." Obi-Wan nodded. "Then we do not accuse. We expose the machinery around him." They moved carefully. For once, the Jedi did not allow the Sith to choose every step. Padmé delayed the military vote with procedural challenges. Bail gathered loyal senators quietly. Yoda ordered a secret audit of the clone army before the Senate could be maneuvered into dependence on it. Mace placed trusted Jedi around key communication hubs. Obi-Wan and Anakin followed the transmitter code to a private chamber beneath the Senate district, where a hooded figure received reports from agents across the galaxy. They did not confront him there. They recorded him. The figure never said the name Sidious. He did not need to. He spoke of emergency powers before any emergency had been declared. He spoke of Dooku as expendable. He spoke of Skywalker as vulnerable through the mother first, the senator next, the fear, always. Anakin heard it. Obi-Wan wished he had spared him. He also knew sparing him would have been another form of silence. Anakin stood in the hidden chamber after the recording ended, face bloodless. "He was my friend." Obi-Wan said nothing. "He listened to me." "Yes." "He told me you were holding me back." "I know." Anakin's anger rose, but this time it had a direction, a shape, a truth. Not vague resentment, not secret shame. Betrayal. Padmé, who had insisted on hearing the recording too, looked devastated. "He has been guiding Naboo politics since I was a girl." Bail's voice was grim. "Then we cut the strings publicly." The confrontation came not with sabers first, but with law. In the Senate, Padmé Amidala requested an emergency session. Palpatine allowed it with gracious concern, believing, perhaps, that she meant to argue again against militarization. The chamber filled. Thousands of pods hovered in the vast air. Jedi stood quietly at the entrances, not as rulers, but as witnesses. Bail released the financial records. Padmé released the transmitter logs. Then the recording played. Palpatine's face did not change for several breaths. That was what condemned him most. An innocent man would have shown confusion, outrage, fear. Palpatine showed calculation. Obi-Wan watched from a platform beside Yoda and Mace as the Chancellor measured the room, counted loyalties, weighed escape against attack. Then the mask fell. Senators cried out as red lightning erupted from his hands and slammed into the nearest guards. The Senate became chaos. Pods swerved away. Alarms screamed. Palpatine rose from his central platform like a shadow given flesh, his kindly face twisted into something old and ravenous.
"So be it," he hissed. "If the Republic must see the truth, then it will see power."
Mace Windu ignited his blade. Yoda's green saber flashed to life. Obi-Wan moved beside them, and Anakin stood at his shoulder. Palpatine looked at Anakin, and even then, even exposed, he smiled. "Anakin, they fear you. They will never trust you. I alone understand what you are." The Senate seemed to fall away. Obi-Wan felt the old future reaching. The office. The choice. Mace and Palpatine. Anakin trapped between fear and loyalty, desperate to save Padmé, desperate to save himself from loss. But Padmé was alive beside Bail. Shmi was alive on Tatooine. The lie had been named. The secret had no locked door to grow behind. Anakin took a step forward. Obi-Wan did not stop him. Anakin raised his blade, not toward Mace, not toward the Jedi, but toward the Sith. "You understand what you wanted me to be," Anakin said. His voice shook, but did not break. "That is not the same as knowing me." Palpatine snarled. The duel tore across the Senate chamber. Yoda moved like green fire. Mace struck with relentless precision. Obi-Wan defended civilians as pods crashed and lightning split the air. Anakin fought beside him, fierce and focused, anger present, but not steering. When Palpatine tried to isolate him with whispered promises beneath the thunder, Obi-Wan felt Anakin reach through their bond. Not for permission, for anchor. Obi-Wan answered with steady light. Together, they drove Palpatine back toward the central platform. Padmé and Bail had cleared the nearest senators. Temple guards sealed the exits. Dooku, appearing from a side entrance like a ghost of old nobility, ignited his curved blade and stood opposite his former master. Palpatine laughed, wild with fury.
"Traitor!"
Dooku's expression was cold. "I learned from the best." The Sith attacked them all. It took every blade, every breath, every lesson paid for in blood across futures that would now never be born. Yoda caught the lightning and bent it aside. Mace broke Palpatine's rhythm. Dooku pierced his guard. Obi-Wan shielded Anakin when rage tempted recklessness. Anakin, at the final opening, cut the Sith Lord's saber in half. Palpatine fell to his knees, disarmed but not harmless, hatred boiling from him in waves. Mace stepped forward. Obi-Wan felt Anakin tense. This was another hinge. "He must stand trial," Padmé called from across the chamber, voice ringing through the alarms. Mace did not lower his blade. "He is too dangerous." "He is," Obi-Wan said. "But if the Jedi kill him here, in front of the Senate, he still wins part of what he wanted. He makes fear our judge." Yoda's ears lowered. His saber remained ready. "Contained he must be." Palpatine spat blood and smiled. "Fools. The dark side does not need me to survive." Anakin looked down at him. "No, but it needed me to stay silent." He deactivated his blade. The sound was small. The meaning was not. Palpatine was taken alive in restraints designed for beings far stronger than human. The Senate fractured into panic, then outrage, then the slow horror of understanding how close the galaxy had come to surrendering itself to a monster with a pleasant voice. The clone army was investigated before deployment. The separatist crisis did not vanish, but without Sidious holding both leashes, negotiation became possible where war had seemed inevitable. Dooku surrendered under guarded terms, offering testimony that shook whole systems awake. The Jedi did not emerge untouched, nor should they have. In the weeks that followed, the Order faced questions it had avoided for generations. How had the Sith hidden so near? How had the Jedi become so bound to Senate approval that they mistook political service for peacekeeping? How many children had been trained to release fear without ever being taught how to speak it aloud? Some masters resisted, some changed. Yoda listened more than he spoke. Mace remained stern, but even he conceded that survival was not the same as victory. Anakin was not knighted in triumph. Obi-Wan refused the ceremony until his Padawan had rested, grieved, and chosen his path with clear eyes. That irritated Anakin for less than a day, before he admitted, grudgingly, that perhaps being treated as a person, rather than a prophecy, had advantages. Padmé returned to Naboo for a time, not to hide, but to breathe. Anakin visited Tatooine with Obi-Wan's knowledge and the Council's reluctant permission. He helped Shmi recover. He argued with Owen. He repaired half the farm without being asked, and complained when thanked. He wrote to Padmé often, and Obi-Wan pretended not to know until Anakin finally confessed. "I love her," Anakin said in the temple gardens one evening, braced as if expecting a sentence. Obi-Wan looked at the sunset burning across Coruscant's towers. "I know." Anakin blinked. "You know?" "Anakin, the temple statues know." "That is not helpful." "No, but it is accurate." Anakin paced. "So what happens now? Do you report me? Lecture me? Tell me I have to choose?" Obi-Wan turned to him. "You do have to choose, but not between love and the Jedi, as if honesty and duty must be enemies. You must choose whether your love makes you more truthful, more compassionate, more willing to serve life beyond yourself. If it does, then it is not the darkness. If it makes you possessive, deceitful, and afraid, then you must face that before it owns you." Anakin absorbed that slowly. "And the code?" he asked. "The code is a lantern, not a cage. If we use it to avoid wisdom, we are the ones who dishonor it." Anakin sat beside him. For a long while, neither spoke. At last, Anakin said, "You changed." Obi-Wan smiled sadly. "So have you." "No, I mean before all this. You woke up different. Sometimes you look at me like you are relieved I am still here." Obi-Wan's breath caught. He could not tell the future. Not all of it. Not the black armor, the desert exile, the children hidden under different suns. But perhaps he could tell enough truth to honor what had been lost. "I had a dream," Obi-Wan said. In it, I waited too long to say many things. Anakin watched him carefully. What things? Obi-Wan looked at his former student, his current Padawan, his brother across time. That you were never a burden. That Qui-Gon's faith in you was not a mistake. That I was proud of you, even when I was afraid for you. That I loved you as family. And I should have said so, while the words could still help. Anakin went very still. The city hummed around them. Somewhere below, traffic streamed through the evening. Somewhere above, stars waited, altered but not conquered. Anakin's voice was barely audible. You are saying them now. Yes. For once, Anakin did not deflect. He did not joke. He did not hide behind arrogance or discomfort. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, and let the words reach him. I needed them, he admitted. Obi-Wan closed his eyes for a moment. I know. The future was not saved. Obi-Wan understood that better than anyone. The dark side would not vanish because one Sith had fallen. Greed would still speak in Senate halls. Fear would still whisper in Jedi hearts. War might still come in another shape. Loss would still find them, because no act of courage could bargain mortality away. But the temple still stood. Padmé still lived. Shmi still laughed softly under Tatooine's suns. The clones were being treated as men before they were ever ordered to die as property. Dooku's testimony had cracked open conspiracies hidden across the Republic. And Anakin Skywalker, chosen one, flawed and brilliant and loved, sat beside Obi-Wan in the garden instead of kneeling in darkness before a master who had never cared for him at all. A breeze moved through the leaves. Anakin looked toward the horizon. Do you think we really changed anything? Obi-Wan followed his gaze. Beyond the temple, Coruscant glowed beneath the coming night. Not redeemed, not pure, but alive with possibility. Yes, Obi-Wan said. I think we changed the moment when fear expected to find you alone. Anakin considered that. Then he smiled, small and real. That sounds like something Master Qui-Gon would say. Obi-Wan felt warmth in the Force, gentle as a hand on his shoulder. Yes, he said. I suppose it does. Above them, the first stars appeared, and this time, no shadow owned them.